Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Speculation Alley. It is me, A-Bomb, here with my co-host, as usual, brother from a different mother, longtime friend, Crypto Dilly, and we have a very special guest with us today. We have Jesse Bryan, the legend from not only the apes, the mutant apes, but many other communities as well. He's deep into 10KTF, here to talk about some fun stuff, and I'm going to let Dilly intro the subject for today. So, Dilly, what do we got?
Well, today we're actually going to be talking about bridging Web 2 brands into Web 3. And ultimately, I think that 10KTF has done a really good job of being able to onboard companies and bring them up to speed and obviously approach a Web 3 community and, offer them products and these different designs that are completely unique. So the first person that really, brought this into the spotlight is actually Jesse Bryan in Twitter Spaces that we held. And so I would love for Jesse to kind of give his input, just his initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of run from that.
Dude, happy to. Thanks for having me, guys. Purely from a business model, once you understand the business model, you can see the whole thing in front of you, right? So keep in mind, like if you're a startup back in the day and you want to start a sunglasses company or something like that, you go raise money, do your testing, right? Hopefully it goes well. Maybe you order 10,000 because you think you can sell them. If you only sell 5,000, you have to sit on the inventory. You think about all the hassle of doing that. Flip that in Web3, right? So now what happens is you go and you mint out 10,000 NFTs. You got all your money up front. You exchange it for a digital wearable, digital collectible. Right? Your risk is zero if you mint out because you only order as much as you sell. And so that's why I think what 10KTF is really doing is, in my mind, they're about to be one of the most exclusive luxury brands on the planet. And the way they're doing it is in the most cost-effective way you can possibly do it. And so my opinion is actually the reason why like Puma and those folks I think are getting involved is because I think they want to learn from what 10KTF is doing because I think they're that far ahead. Just by 2 cents. It's actually normally it'd be the other way around, right? You'd want a Puma to come in. I think it's actually the opposite that's happening is they're going, oh, we got to figure out this new model.
Well, and from a standpoint from like an Adidas, right? Adidas is obviously paired up with the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You have obviously Artifact and Nike. You have all these different brands that are emerging into the Web3 space. And ultimately, like the way that I perceive it is what you hit on, which is like from a business standpoint, if you're able to approach your consumer and have that direct communication with somebody and not actually go into production with a product that people aren't actually going to buy, your conversion is extremely high, right? So from a apparel brand standpoint, they're able to actually have that direct line of communication with the community and have their input directly, right? And then before they even do anything, that's their R&D right there. They don't even have the research and development side of things. They're able to then go into production and already have a community that is guaranteed to buy their product. What we're seeing with the Comfy Hoodie token, okay, with 10KTF is now they have this token that they're going to be able to burn, and then it'll convert to a hoodie that is a 1-to-1, right? And that's the same thing that they're doing with, Artifact and the Nike shoes. And we're also now seeing it with Puma and the Materializer token, right? So they already know before they even go into production what their demand for the product is. And that is massive.
Can I jump on this really quick too? Because what you said right there, what you said there with the 1-of-1 and thinking about like first to market, right? So no one really, unless you like took your IP and went to a clothing store and had them manufacture it yourself, no one is supplying 1-of-1 with the current IP that holders have on a mass scale. No one's doing that yet. So for them to be able to take IP that people love, that they're like, yo, this is my ape and the ape is me and I am my ape, or this is my wizard and I am the wizard. You know what I'm saying? Like no one is doing this on a mass scale and at a high quality level yet. And I think that's what Jesse's talking about, where 10KTF is literally positioning themselves to become a high-end luxury brand. Would you agree with that, Jesse?
Dude, everything is flipping right now. So what you're going to see next is there's already a couple platforms. There's actually a business. I give them a shout out, but I'm spacing the name right now. It's actually a Seattle platform for point of sale. So just to give you an idea of where it's going, and then hopefully be able to connect the dots on kind of where 10KTF is going, in my opinion. is so what you're going to start seeing like immediately. I mean, like it's already working. Like none of this stuff is R&D. It's already happening. Is for instance, if you go to a hockey game or something, you'll be able to buy. If a normal jersey costs 100, you can pay 150 to get the enhanced version. The enhanced jersey comes with an NFT, probably on Polygon, something like that, and you'll be able to custody that. Now, the cool thing about that is, remember, where we're going in the metaverse is it's not just people are blue check marked, everything is blue check marked. Okay. And so you'll be able to, like right now, my kids, if they're on Roblox or whatever, if somebody's wearing like a Supreme box shirt, you're going, well, it's fake, everybody, right? So the cool thing about the metaverse is everything you'll be able to click on it and you'll be able to see provenance. You'll be able to even, because it's blockchain, you'll be able to see, oh, they got it on opening day at that hockey game. Like, oh my God, that was the playoffs, whatever. And it has a separate little badge. Think about the margin for the brands on that. So whatever the margin was to get the jersey here, to have it manufactured, whatever, back that out, whatever the margin is. Now on the digital collectible, you look at that, the margin, and it's staggering. The cool thing is for the person buying the jersey, it's also a big deal because now you have this digital collectible that you can literally rock in the metaverse, but also you can sell moving forward. So I think we're going to get, like, I don't know if you guys saw Toys R Us NFT stuff. So nope. Toys R Us, just like they tweeted today, they have an entire channel called Toys R Us NFTs. And so in essence, like, here's what you're going to be in, where my head goes from a brand perspective is brands are starting to figure out the digital collectible side, and they're going to start trying to like oversaturate the market. So what that means is when we talk about scarcity and NFTs, it's going to go from like this kind of ethereal thing of like, yeah, I guess there is only one of those, hoodies, to like, no, that's the whole game, right? So if a lot of these things are not closed editions, so like the hockey jersey thing, a lot of them aren't thinking yet as far as scarcity goes. So they're thinking, whatever, there's 10,000 of these hockey jerseys. Okay, boil that all down to, now you get into things like 10KTF. Well, 10KTF, imagine getting, not only is it a baseball card from the first year that they were ever made, but there's only one of them. If you look at like Honus Wagner cards and all that kind of stuff, we know roughly how many there are. A friend of mine who has like a laser-eyed ape today, I hit him up. I was like, dude, you have an epic hoodie on your ape. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, dude, come on. And I took a screenshot and we got him on Rarity and on Rarity Boy and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, thanks for letting me know. I'm like, dude, I go, okay, even if you're not going to do 10K, just understand that the physical version of this hoodie, you have a laser-eyed ape hoodie made by let's just say 10K. Let's not even say Gucci, Puma, whoever. I'm like, that is a one-of-one that will never exist again. So You'll have the digital version and you'll have the physical. Like, it's in my opinion, it's like the Trojan horse. It's ultra scarce, ultra rare. It's attached to your identity. On top of it, you're gaming with it. Because I think the next level to this stuff, you guys, is badges, where you'll actually start to have badges on the apparel that represent your missions. And at that point, it's not just a one-of-one. It's a one-of-one with the provenance of you and your friends in every mission you've ever ran on. That's where I think 10K is going, and there's not a brand on the planet that's that far ahead.
Well, I love what you're talking about with the badges, because I've seen it already with younger kids, and that we have to understand like why certain platforms are valued at what they're valued at, and the one that has the highest amount of young users on it is valued the highest. The reason because of that usually is marketing value with that, because brands know if you can target a young audience and you get them and you have them for life, there's a reason why I buy Nikes and my friends buy Jordans and these specific brands, because as kids we were marketed these brands and we're like, yes, this is what I want and this is what I continue to buy now. So seeing how this is already happening in a digital space, Fortnite, Call of Duty, all these other games where you can personalize your avatar, but you don't own these assets. That's where you're saying the next revolutionary moment to me is where not only can I go and play with these things and enjoy them and build these badges on them, but I can actually fucking own that. And that to me is where you blow the lid off. Like, yeah, the one-of-one stuff is really cool and the physical side of that is amazing, but when you pair the digital one-of-one with the physical one-of-one, and that has a gamified approach to it as well, that's like game over, baby, to me.
One of the biggest things is that you have 10KTF that's bridging that gap between Web 2 and Web 3 with Altitude, right? We saw them bring in Louis Vuitton, and then they actually had the build out of the game, and you have Louis the Game, right? And now they've obviously done less with that brand, and they've moved to having Gucci. And then you have, for a period of time, we had Adidas like brand ambassadors, like global ambassadors in our 10KTF Discord grinding, and us like figuring that out. Like we were like, what's going on here? And then they do that partnership with Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? And then weeks later, maybe a month, 2 months later, then Puma comes onto the scene, and now you have Adam Petrick, who's the CMO of Puma, who's talking about fully customized apparel and being a brand that actually like is at the forefront of that, that whole bridge, right? Because what he says is that, young kids right now, all that they understand is full customization. And when you think about that, it's completely true. When you look at all these different brands, I mean, take Nike ID for an example, right? You can go in and fully customize your own shoe and have it delivered within like 2 weeks, right? So as an apparel brand, especially at the scale of Puma or Nike or Adidas, you want to be able to bridge that gap. And what better way than to come in, because you don't want to be a brand that falls straight on their face. You don't want to come into Web3 and launch a product or an NFT project and do a Nickelodeon, right? Where it literally just falls flat. So what's beautiful about 10KTF is they have this large community that are 10,000 true fans, right? And if you read that 1,000 true fans article, it's about having people that no matter what you launch will be there to buy your product. And that's what Apple's done so well, right? So they're basically creating this business that literally has this effect on brands where they can bring any of them in and then craft a product with an NFT and then deliver a physical or whatever that brand is willing to actually give up, and guarantee success, right? And that is a recipe for disaster. No, it's a recipe for amazing things, right? That is unlike anything that we've ever seen anywhere, in my opinion.
Okay, Dilly, like here's another thing to consider. Okay, so purely from a brand perspective, right? Like there's actually a storytelling concept called charged objects. Have you guys ever heard about that?
No, enlighten me.
Okay,
No,
so charged,
yep.
dude. So this is how brands work, right? So charged objects it's something that's imbued with meaning. And so like imagine like in a movie, if it's in a movie and like a mom and her daughter are hanging out and mom's making fun of this like ugly yellow smiley face mug mom always uses, and then mom dies of cancer or something in the course of the movie. At the end of the movie, the daughter's holding that mug is charged. It doesn't represent, it's not just a mug anymore. It represents the relationship, right? So like I have these like two little pieces of metal that are worth maybe like, I don't know, a cent, but they're my grandpa's dog tags from World War II. It's what are they worth? Well, nothing, but what are they worth? Everything. Once a story is funneled into an object, it changes its value, right? It's literally the way it works is it's commodity plus story equals product, okay? So the stronger the story, the stronger the connection, which means the higher the margin, okay? So what people are not missing here is this isn't just like, so like, did anybody go NFT NYC see the coach presentation? Okay, so Dilly, you know what I'm talking about. So they get up there and they're like, yeah, we want to do these one-off purses, experience or whatever. And it was like, okay, cool. We sold out in 30 seconds. People get to go in, build their bespoke bag. Great. Then they get the digital version on the other side. Awesome. Totally into that. That's cool. The Nike stuff. I can go in. I design my Air Force Ones. I get the cool lunchbox. Dope. That's cool. What we're talking about is not just charging the object by making it a one of one. Once you add in the experiential side, once you add in, this is my friends, this is my community. When I think about this piece of clothing, it's not just a one of one hoodie, right? Like this, I got this at 8Fest. This isn't just a hoodie from 8Fest. I'm thinking about all my friends. Yes. So what I think people are missing is it's not just like, oh, this Balenciaga, this is Gucci, it's rare. It's that plus the charged object concept of like my grandpa's dog tags, where like I you know, like a lot of us in 10K, there's other things we own that we're like, I don't touch my 10KT stuff. Like I never think about selling my 10KTF stuff, right? There's so much other stuff. I'm like, yeah, it was cool or whatever. It's like, yeah, I'll flip it and see what I. But 10K, it's like I can't. It's like it's not just the thing. It's the thing plus community plus experience plus story, and so that's why watching what they're doing is like a masterclass from a brand perspective, because it's not just great storytelling, it's not just experience, it's tying it back to a product that you can hold that represents all those relationships in like a one foul swoop. That's why it's so next level. And I think that once we start getting these physicals, even like the mirrors and all that, like when people start seeing these things, you're going to start to see that they become only like these charged or sacred objects in your home, and people will never understand it unless you were there and you were a part of it. And so that's where they're going, in my opinion.
I think one thing that's really interesting about that is literally like, I think of Full Send, that the Nelk Boys, the brand as a whole, right? And you think about the way that they actually do their collection drops, right? It's usually, paired up with this, really well done YouTube video, right? And it's 20 minutes long or whatever it is. And, whenever you see somebody wearing a piece from that drop, you know what it is, and you can actually like correlate their, participation or their involvement in that journey of the brand, right? And that's the same thing that you are getting my wheels turning thinking about Gucci, right? Like Gucci being a part of the story and Alessandro Michele being in this, storyline. Like if you own the Gucci material, like what is possible with that material being developed into a physical good is something that's magical, right? And it will protect you from adversarials, but it's going to do way more in the long term because of that charged aspect that you're talking about. That's so magnificent.
Well, I want to segue into that then right now, because this is a topic that I think connects very much so, which this is, again, one of the first physicals that has been launched as an NFT from a brand such as Gucci that has an NFT utility, let's say, and as well will have a physical item connected to that. What the physical is, we don't know. But to see sort of even what we were talking about beforehand, which what Jesse brought up, is like you have this charged item, which it has a story concept connected to it. It has a utility that is gamified, and it's rare to some degree. Maybe not a one of one, but it has scarcity connected to it. If you're hitting all those three boxes, bro, you are smoking it right now in web 1, web 2, web 3, whatever fucking web it is, because that is something that, again, I don't see many brands doing. And I see, though, a lot of brands looking at that now, such as Puma, Adidas, Nike. Everyone's going towards this more customized approach, and as well understanding I don't need to make 10,000 of these physical items and then try to sell all 10,000 of those. I can actually go to this user base that wants this and go, okay, how many do I need to actually develop right now? Great. I know that. Now I can do that. I have no overhead left over, and I have all of these profits essentially that I've made.
Yeah, you're eliminating waste as well.
Exactly.
Right? That's huge.
That's what the 100 guys said. That's why like what everybody's sleeping on with digital wearables is this is how. Great, you're a sneakerhead. By all means, be a sneakerhead. Collect them this way, right? And so that's why the hundreds is pushed so hard into this space. Is they're like, we've been looking for a way to allow people to still like express themselves and all that kind of stuff, but also how to be conscious of where all this is coming from, But I
Bobby
also
Hundreds
think
wrote the book on marketing. Like that guy's a genius.
Dude's way ahead. Here's where it's going to, in my opinion. Right now, people are thinking about it. Of like, oh, the physical is gonna be cool. I'm telling you, the digital is gonna flip the physical.
I agree.
Once this thing scales, like already for car companies, I know it's coming. Like there was the Ferrari stuff that there was rumors about Ferrari. Do you get an NFT with the DeLorean too?
DeLorean, you have to buy the NFT in order to be on their actual
that's smart
list.
That makes a ton of sense.
It's same like. Think about if you did that with the Cybertruck with Tesla, that's a way that cars are going to continue to launch in the future, because they can actually guarantee, that you get somebody on their allow list that registers the vehicle, and they are saying like, I'm going to buy this, right? And then they can customize the specs and get everything, all the orders in place. Like genius, right? DeLorean's the ones that are the first ones to actually do that.
That's so smart. The Ferrari stuff that I heard about was that when you order a custom, like a one of, well, when you custom order, you get also the NFT version. So
as ownership.
So you can literally, your bins attached to it and everything. So eventually you go like, okay, let's say, I don't know, whatever you put into it, 600 grand into this Ferrari. If at some point the digital version of that in the future, I mean, what's that for a collector? Because people are going to start collecting the digital versions, right? Because there's only, you know how it is. Like if you actually have vehicles, it becomes a pain in the ass. You have to custody, take care of all that kind of stuff. What wealthy people are going to start doing with these high-end collectibles is going to be staggering, right? They're going to start building their match car sets at scale. Also, on that DeLorean thing is huge because right now a lot of us have been waiting for like the Cybertruck stuff. I ordered it. Yeah. I've had 2Xs and I ordered it day one. If I had an NFT where I could be like, I could check it and it would like tell me my spot in line. It would like, whenever I got to the point where it's like, maybe I should just order something else. That's ever present in my wallet. Every time I open my wallet, it reminds me, don't cancel your order, right? You're going to get the blacked out, one you want. Just hang on. It's that it's like having it on your mantelpiece or something. It's so smart. And what did it cost DeLorean to do that?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Nothing. Brilliant.
Well, I mean, it cost the dev team and the, you know, but
a little bit, but comparatively speaking, nothing.
100%. Yeah. Well, and so I want to focus on two different things real quick. I think one thing that's really interesting and fascinating about this is like the future, right? Value is where you spend your time, right? And so I think one of the really fascinating things about NFTs at scale is that a lot of people collect art, right, around the world. But when you really think about art on a grand scale, how many people actually see the art that you really collect, right? They don't. You have to have a party at your house to show off all your your collectibles, right? So NFTs kind of change that because you can actually be an art connoisseur, but also flex, socially, right? And that's what Gary Vee talks about. Well, this idea of digital collectibles in the apparel side of things is really fascinating because when you have a platform like the other side and you have, somebody rocking an ape hoodie with laser beams on it, that guy is like, he's flexing on you, right? Nobody else has that. You have that blue check mark like Jesse was talking about. So you have that, obviously you could get the physical, which is just as cool in real life. And if somebody understands that and they can make that recognition of the brand, it's cool to somebody else. But when you're in a platform where you're spending majority of your time, you also want that same effect for that, recognition, right? So there's that side of things as well that's going on with the shift, if you will, of people actually onboarding into Web3 and understanding what this really is. We're so early that a lot of people can't wrap their minds around what's actually coming up.
Bro, oh, sorry, Abe, I'm going.
No, Jesse, you're the guest. You will speak, please, before me every time.
No, dude, all I was going to say is like that piece, once that flips, once people understand that, it's not just from an art perspective, it's pristine. It's a pristine asset. So, like I have a bunch of cause collectibles and things like that. The problem is if you're displaying them over time, it starts to, it just gets dirty and all that kind of stuff. You have to figure out how to clean them without rooting. I haven't bought any of that stuff since I switched over to NFTs because I'm like, wait a second, this is a pristine asset. It's provenance. It's pristine. Like if you go to liquidate it, when it comes to the art market, if you have like some paintings, it's like, great, I got to get a hold of the auction house. I got to send it out there. I got to broker it. Hopefully it goes up, blah, blah, blah. Once you understand that you have a 24-hour, 365 market, right, and the assets that you're custodying are pristine in perpetuity, it's a game changer. Like that's why like Nina Chanel Abney stuff that she just did and the stuff that Goda's doing is so cool, is because once you start to get this, all we need is great displays, and those are coming. Like once the display thing is solved, when you're in someone's house, already there's there's a bracket that was at Vegas conference, biggest technical like whatever gadget conference.
GDC.
It's a different one, but it's consumer electronics. Yeah, it's a big one, right? CES. All right. At CES this year already, it would reorient to your art. So if it was displaying an NFT like this, and then the next one on your playlist, it just immediately adjusted itself. Like all that stuff is coming, dude. Even what we're about to get, those displays we're about to get, like, I think people are still sleeping on how far ahead 10
Please
KTF is on all this stuff.
explain what a Kagami is for our viewers that, you know, may be new to 10 KTF or not understanding what this project's all about.
Dude, A-Bomb, take that one. You take that one. You're way better at that.
I don't know if I mean, okay, I'll try, but I would say it's a physical representation of a digital asset that you house, right? So most of the time you want to show these assets off to somebody. You're either putting it as your like Twitter profile picture, or you are literally logging onto OpenSea and being like, check this out, look what I own. So this is a more, I guess you could say, I don't know, more exquisite, more refined way of, showcasing these assets that you may own in your house. It's essentially, I guess, a circular disc about this big, and it obviously has a base that it's going to sit on, and it will display your NFT for you. And it does so in a very, just very articulate, no, that's not the word, aesthetic way that I think people will enjoy. But I think what's interesting, the most interesting thing you said, because when you were talking about the cars, Jesse, and the upkeep, like I have friends and family members that have built like 67, Camaros and shit like that. So that takes a lot of money and a lot of upkeep. Even once you build it and you're like, yeah, I'm done, you still have all this upkeep that needs to go into it. But what you're talking about now, where you have this pristine asset that stays in that sort of quality in perpetuity. I literally have the cause sitting up over in my room over here, and it's all dusty. And I, of course, I can't, like, because of the intricate design in it, can't get that fucking dust out of there. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's crazy though to think like, okay, over time, everything's going to experience wear and tear. But in this digital world, it won't. And that really will be like the mech. What you're saying, I agree with. It'll flip the physical, because not only is it more broadly going to be seen on a digital scale on different, social media platforms, but also it's never going to degrade. It's going to stay that quality forever, which to me is like, from a collector standpoint, it just makes so much more sense. Like what you're saying, I haven't really gone out and bought any more cars because, I have to either like keep those in the box and hide them in like a sealed container, or I take them out and they eventually start to degrade. So that's a huge, huge aspect of it in and of itself. It's just like the quality.
A-Bomb, portability.
Yeah.
Another one, huge. Yeah.
Right? Like Dilly, like do you think about like, oh, you want to, if you, all of that shit you're talking about, right? You want to move? Great. Do you know how much it costs to actually have like an actual,
like Francois moving his
all
collection?
They do, dude, all they do is move art. It's like a piano mover or something. And you go like, okay, I'm just moving to this new whatever it is. Again, once you start getting the digital custody thing where it's pristine provenance, you never have to worry, and you have an always on marketplace of other people. Like, dude, it's a game changer. And on the scarcity side, like, you remember, like, okay, if you're a Cause guy, you remember when like Cause did like the Dior collection and it came out, and everybody's waiting in line to get like, like the Dior with like the Bumblebee and stuff. And it's like, I don't know how many of those are, but I know for a fact there's only one Laser Ride, monkey hoodie from 10K. Like once people really connect, I think you're going to see these hoodies that are coming out. You're going to see them at places like the Billboard Music Awards. You're going to see, because it will like straight up be some of the rarest shit on the planet. I don't think people are going to I think we're in a weird gap right now where people don't really understand the repercussions of what's about to happen. And a lot of people will like look back and be like, do you remember when we got those hoodies and we were like wearing them to baseball games and like, fucking around in them or whatever. And like, I think there's gonna be a time we look back and it's like, yeah, I just like, and I just had this just sitting on my desk. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool mirror thing. You're going to look back on it and be like, dude, I didn't know what we were custodying at the time. We're custodying like the very beginning of the future.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, I relate that to Pokemon. I mean, like going and playing Pokemon cards, it's like, I got a Charizard, and you're like, I'm going to win this tournament because I got a Charizard, and you're playing with it out of the, and you're looking back like, oh my God, what if I would have just like, had that graded and put in a case? Like,
well,
yeah,
Another thing too, Jesse, that you brought up when this was said in this Twitter space that we were talking about, this was like the rental factor that could come into this with the IRLs. Like if you do think about
huge.
Like, yeah,
Louis Vuitton, dude, they already filed for it.
There you
It's
go.
a patent. We link to it in the notes. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. They filed a patent. It's Louis Vuitton. It's kind of like Rent the Runway, but for digital collectibles. And so they filed the patent. It doesn't mean it's going to be awarded and stuff like that. It was either a patent or a trademark. I don't recall, but it's like that where you'll go, oh, you want to wear that Virgil Abloh, bag digitally. Right. Cool. I just want, whatever. It's $200,000. I want to just wear it this weekend for my birthday at this Metaverse thing, and it's $100. The fact that Louis Vuitton is already protecting that IP, right? There's a play coming, and there's a play coming because also remember, Louis Vuitton is part of a family of the greatest brands on the planet. It's not just Louis Vuitton that's going to make this play. You're going to see that in Tiffany's. You're going to see, well, already you're starting to see it, right? And once that push happens, it's going to be a wrap because to your point, I remember when somebody said this about Steph Curry when he got his ape, people were like, why would he spend whatever $100,000 on the time or whatever it was on an ape? And somebody made the point of, well, remember, like obviously Steph's house is insane, but how many people get to go there? Whereas every person that interacts with him on the internet sees this, right? So from a scale perspective, and Dilly, you said something a minute ago about pretty much like metaverse and like how do we define this space. My favorite definition so far that I've heard, I wish I could cite the source, but so I want to make it clear I didn't say this, but I was reading something and the person said the metaverse is just it's a state of mind. It's that point when your digital life things, not like you're being alive, but your digital things are worth more than your physical things. So if you had to pick, I take your ledger and whatever. If everything was actually on your ledger, I light it on fire or I light your house on fire and you go, oh, light my house on fire.
Right.
When that happens, you've now entered the metaverse. So I literally do Dilly. I asked my kids, when he said that, I was like, hey, Hank, I got 4 kids. And I was like, would you be more devastated if I piled up all this stuff in your room and like threw it away? Or if everything you owned on the internet, all your Roblox stuff, all your Minecraft stuff, all of that, because he also has a store where he makes stuff and sells it and stuff, all that, I get rid of which one? Pick one. You can only save one. And he was like, what are you talking about? You can have all that shit. The physical stuff. For him, there wasn't even like, oh, geez, that's a tough one. He looked at me like I'm crazy. He's like, I don't want to lose this stuff. It's important to me. That's just stuff.
Well, and part of that to me is understanding, I think like they maybe get this without getting this, is that they know that that's like a materialistic thing. Like this can break, it can degrade, all of that. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where these things will stay at this quality forever. And kids, man, like it clicked for me when I was sitting there talking to my fiance's little brother and he's like telling me about how his friends hang out in Fortnite. I'm like, what do you mean? You're not playing the game? Like I am a gamer. Like I played Diablo, I played World of Warcraft, I played Call of Duty, like all this shit, Zelda, not going to go into it. But that being said, it's interesting to see like these kids are going onto these platforms, not even to game, but to flex and signal. And we as humans have signaled since I don't know how long, but for quite some time, where I buy a Rolex for this reason, or I wear this
300,000.
Yeah.
300,000 years.
That's exactly what brands are. I mean,
signaling.
That's exactly what it is. And that's what's really interesting, though, is I think something that Jesse said earlier, though, is like, in order to like go and sell a physical piece, you actually have to go to you have to have it authenticated. You have to do all this stuff. And I talk about NFTs in this regard. It's like, rather than if you own a Picasso and it was an NFT, there's no question. You can just trace it on the blockchain and track the, everything that's ever happened to it, wherever it's been, transferred, sold, traded, whatever. So I think there's that piece of it as well. But I want to really like take a scale back, and I want to talk about the future of 10KTF and what this could mean for future brands. Because right now, I think that 10KTF is positioned itself in a spot where you actually have all these brands that are obviously coming to them as a partnership and saying, hey, we want to be able to utilize your community. I think one of the biggest benefits that 10KTF has is that they actually have constant engagement week after week with their community, right? It's like, hey, come back to Battletown, sign up, and it's engagement, which from a marketing perspective, when you go to any of these brands in Web2 and you're like, hey, I can guarantee you 10,000 people will actually be on this website at this time next week. And we can actually bring your brand into the story, have that, that connection piece, and then we can actually sell them a product in the end, right? And what they're doing is they're building this spoked system where collaborations for the future. 10KTF will be a luxury brand that is not just in the physical world, but also in the metaverse. And they're bridging and utilizing community and IP, right? They're one of the only places currently where you can actually go to one spot and have the connection to Bored Apes, the connection to Cool Cats, the connection to all of the best IP in Web3, and bridge all the communities and have the attention from all spaces, right? That is one of the most massive selling points, period. And they're going to continue to be able to churn these Web2 brands, and they don't have to pick, which is what I am mind blown by. Like what you said earlier, Jesse, is like most people would do it backwards, where they're like, oh, Puma wants to work with us, like Cat Blocks, right? Oh, Puma, oh yeah, come in, let's do this. And now you're tied to a brand, where 10KTF, they're not tied to anybody. They can be like, yes, we want Gucci, we want Louis Vuitton, we want Adidas, we want Nike, we want whoever. That is beautiful.
Dude, okay. This is where I don't think people understand how big the play is. Number one, also, let me just say something really quick. Like, a brand in this space, more than ever, a brand is only as good as its founders. The reason why I believe that 10KTF is going to stick is because when I was listening to Rec Radio, I don't know, 3 days ago, beeple was on there, and he was talking about royalties, and he was like, pretty much like, yes, it sucks there are things set up for people to get around royalties because I think we should pay artists. He's like, your bigger problem is this: if you treat your community like crap, you just put a bunch of garbage in the market and make a ton of money off of them. You're not providing value. You're not delivering a service for them. He goes, yeah, they're going to find ways not to pay you. He's like, but if you're taking care of your community, you're being hyper conscious of not oversaturating the market. Like when we had, I forgot who said it. I think it was in that space with Beeple and Figgy, when they were saying that like they were within like 7 or 8 crates or something. Like they figured out how to do it where it was like the fairest way, where we all were all rewarded. You know what I'm saying? And so anyways, I'm just saying, like, why 10K in 5 years, in my opinion? Because you have people like Beeple that are going, well, first and foremost, we need to take care of the people that are supporting us. Right. And so that's step one. It is like, there's so many brands, I see them out here, and even though they knew if we drop this big collection, it's going to screw over our longtime holders, they still dropped it. 10KTF hasn't done that. So, it's just as far as like a benchmark for us to think about. That's why I think, honestly, yes, I think they're innovating at a whole nother level, 100% all that stuff. But in my opinion, character is destiny. That's a Heraclitus quote. The character that we've seen so far tells me the destiny we're going to experience.
Right. Yeah, you know they're in like the mindset of the consumer, like protecting us. Yeah, rather than like lining their pockets. The other thing, I mean, from a way back standpoint, whenever I first heard and like discovered who the founders were, like figuring out that Guy Osiri, Beeple, Michael Figgy are the founders of this project, I was like, these guys have no purpose in like needing more money. Like this isn't a money game. Like it's not a monetary like thing. It's about building something for the future that is long lasting, that will be here forever. Like I feel like I'm on the ground floor of building Disney. And I've said that several times. Like this will be the most popular, most valuable IP ever created. And we're at the forefront of being on that, and the fact that we're bridging that into physicals is just amazing to me, and I can't wait to get my comfy hoodie. I don't even know if I'm gonna wear it. I really don't.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Dilly, here's a couple of things I would think about. Like for me, it's like literally I work with some of the biggest brands in the world, and I walk them through 10K. Like I have a presentation,
Like,
I walk them through it, and I'm like, this is what's going on. And the problem is that a lot of times, especially if large companies, they don't understand how culture actually works. The way culture actually works is it's always a very small group of people that create it. Always. Yep. That's how it actually works. I actually have a piece of art. It was one of the hand-drawn drawings from Steamboat Willie, which was the first talking cartoon, and it was Disney. And I hang it. It's hanging in our conference room because I say 11 people in the equivalent of $40,000 got together, a group of friends with $40,000 in today's money, not back then, and they made that cartoon, and it changed the fucking world. Remember, when you think about Disney, we think about it as this giant thing. Go look at it, and you can look at it, and you can see where they fucked up, and they had to erase shit, and they had to redraw it, and it was like, this is how shit starts. Big things start small, right? A small group of people that have a ton of conviction, right? They do things at a very high level. They're hyper focused, and so anyway, so when I'm talking about 10K, usually in a scale of like larger clients, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, and there's like 10,000 friends. Oh, that's neat. It's like, you don't understand. This is how revolutions start. It's always a small group of people that are connected at a deeper level. And again, going back to the fact that we're watching, the last drop of ApeCoin paid for, for like, it's like
my Kagami,
dude,
my sweater, everything.
Dude, I'm like, what do you want? I got nothing to. All I'm getting is value. You know what I'm saying? And even if it didn't, I still feel like I got value. But they don't have to do. Remember, they don't have to do any of this shit. Most. Go look around. Go look around at other collections and tell me who's doing this. Oh yeah, they don't have to.
That's something that's really crazy. Is like I've said this a lot. I've said I got 10 Genesis items at the beginning. And that's turned into 42 10 KTF items and more.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, but I haven't bought anything. I'm literally it's literally getting rolled into it because once I get an ape allocation, it's like I'm buying 10 KTF and I just buy more, right? It's not like I'm not exiting the ecosystem. And obviously I could, but why would I? I know what I have and I know what I'm building or what they're building. And I'm along for the journey.
One of the things that's interesting about this, though, is that this is sort of an investment. We've all put money into this, but I think one of the biggest things that keeps us here is what Jesse said, was just culture. It's this culture of community that has been built with these individuals that we all have this common ground with, and we're like, yeah, bro, I dig this, you dig this, that's super cool. So when you do understand that, because I listened to investors sort of talk about NFTs, and one of them specifically stood out to me because he said it's the tokenization of culture. I mean, I have tattoos.
God, that's a great way of saying it.
I love tattoos. There are certain people that will never get a tattoo, and that's a different form of culture. So, and there's so many different just pillars of culture that exist that are yet to be tokenized in that way, that we're really seeing 10 KTF grab certain cultures by the hand. Gucci is its own form of culture. I don't own any fucking Gucci. No physicals anyways, not yet. But that being said, it's interesting to see, okay, you've onboarded a degenerate bumpkin from Idaho that would never own any Gucci to owning Gucci now because you've helped them, onboard themselves. So it's we're getting this symbiosis, I'll help you help me because I am a part of this culture and this community, which helps these newcomers and them sort of identify, okay, well, this is the sort of culture and community we want to build. So you like that, Jesse?
Dude, I love that. But A-Bomb, this is where okay, I don't mean, this is not a knock on anyone else because I don't think we need to do that, right? But
knock them.
Dude, no, because people always say oh, the culture's good and that people stay for culture. Great. Totally get that. Strategically, what these guys are doing is so fucking I would pay for this shit as a class because have either of you read Virtual Society yet?
No.
Nope.
It's Herman's book. It just came out. Came out.
Let me get on.
Yes, I heard about this.
Dude, once I remember dude, A-Bomb. Well, I mean, Dilly, you've been around forever, but do you remember when it was God, can you imagine if this is actually gonna dovetail with Yuga, and wouldn't that be fucking crazy?
Yeah.
The day that it became clear that it's not just Yuga, dude, they're playing they're playing above that level. As soon as they found out that, wait a second, so everything you have on 10KTF works on all of Improbable shit. Wait a second, so we can use it in Other Side and in Goblin World and Cat World or whatever's going to happen. This is interoperable, so they're not just going to be the outfitters for the Other Side. I think once we figured out they're going to be the outfitters for the metaverse,
Right.
It was like, holy shit.
Well, to think about that, like them positioning themselves in such a way where that is inclusive as well. They're not like, hey, we're going to pick the biggest person in the fight, and we're going to go back them. It's like, yo, we want to help everyone in this way. And when Herman made that tweet, I think this is sort of what you're alluding to with 10KTF's tech and Improbable's tech. You can build assets in one universe that will easily transcend into another universe and follow the same laws of physics. That's fucking bonkers to me.
So you don't just have your Gucci hoodie. This is the shit that you understand. The most successful startup in history is Yuga. People don't like it. They bitch about it. It's true. No one's ever done that before. No one's ever done what they've done in a year.
They're jealous.
If you don't like NFTs, fucking get over it. But because that happened. Most successful startup in history. What they did, what 10K did is they not only aligned themselves here, they aligned themselves at like literally like an L1, like a layer one. They align themselves with the tech.
Right.
Yep.
So not only are they going to participate in every one of these brands, on top of that too, they haven't abandoned any brands. I think that's really important. Even
100%.
brands that they brought on that are struggling, they stand by them. And I think that's badass because it'd be easy to walk away from some brands. I think some communities, their floor was maintained and possibly even the projects are still around because of 10K's, TF's, like unwavering commitment.
Force is a great example of that. If you don't
now
want to
look at him.
there.
Totally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like that's what I was thinking. But I was like, now look at him. It's like, I think there's going to be a resurgence for them. And I hope that team does really well. And, you know, the new team and all that kind of shit. I'm just saying the fact that they could have dumped other projects and they don't. Right. And the fact that you're going to be able to take the stuff that you're investing in today. I mean, we're all so used to an ecosystem where it's like, oh, I bought the DLC for Zelda, and so I can use this, or I have this banana skin in Fortnite. Like the fact that they're thinking at a operating system level of value, who else is thinking like that? Because by the way, where's all the money in the metaverse, right? How much of it do you think is going to come from wearables and weapons?
Everything.
Percentage-wise. Dude, outside of maybe land sales.
80%.
It's got to be staggering. Okay, cool. Who right now on the planet has the best chance at owning that market?
10KTF.
100%.
Hands down. Well, and the big thing, so I relate this a lot of the times. I think
and then Artifact, which is behind them, in my opinion.
Truth. Yes,
right? I also
agree.
like Artifact, but I'm saying that's how far out 10KTF is. Nike is trying to catch them.
Well, when you talk about the tech too, and them aligning themselves with that, like not only culture, because Wagmi-san, cultural, verb or phrase, whatever you want to call it, and as well like Wen Moon, like they're actually taking the culture and like embedding it into their project. And like Cold Wallet, Hot Wallet, they created the fucking Warm Wallet. Like they're not only building and helping, but they're like for not just their own project, but for the entire space. And I think that's sort of what
they could have easily licensed that out stuff. Like
precisely,
like they could have definitely said, nope, in order to use Warm Wallet, you need to pay us, right? But they're thinking at such a like way bigger scale than anybody else in the space. And I think that is something that's really, really beautiful. I think one big thing that I wanted to hit on though is something that we were talking about a little bit earlier, which is 10KTF has built such a strong community that like literally I've heard this time and time again where it's like, I would literally like do a normal, just regular transfer of a, $10,000 asset with any OG in the community and newcomers to the space that have actually, like I brought in Crypto Terran and he's grinded his way up to become an OG and he had the chance to buy an Oni. And when he bought that Oni, literally RW from the community was like, oh, you're an OG? Yeah, I'm going to give you a discount at what I bought it. And then he's like, oh, you don't have the funds? You're an OG. Here, why don't you just send me what you have? And they did no NFT trader. They didn't have to do any of that stuff. It's just like we've built such a strong community of trust. And any OG that's within the space, I'm comfortable literally sending them thousands of dollars because I know that they're gonna like return whatever they need to give me the value that I'm after, right? And that's something
Dilly,
that's something
that starts at
culture.
the top, man.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
Literally that starts at the top. I think the reason that works is because of, again, go back to every founder statement I've seen. First and foremost, they're thinking about the community, right? They're thinking about adding value, not just extracting value. And so I think what we're all get to experience in seeing things like that literally is because the top is right. All of a sudden we can go, oh, okay, cool. I guess people like that attract people, like attracts like, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you got this crazy, dude. I mean, A-Bomb, your story was amazing. Like your tattoo and all, like, dude,
Thimble gang,
that kind of stuff. Where else?
Shout out
is
Swelson,
bro. Yeah, shout out Swelson, the legend. I still tell people that story, and they just look at me.
You will forever. It's tattooed on you.
I fucking carved a thimble pumpkin last night. Okay, guys, literally look on it on Twitter. I'm not joking. I poked holes for like an hour sitting there, and I was like, "Thimble gang, we're going." But like,
and you're thinking about Swelson the whole time.
Every hole is like Swelson. but for real, it's like that type of moment. I have experienced some amazing things in my life. Don't get me wrong. I've been very fortunate in a lot of ways, but I have never experienced something like that where, again, like I met Swilson one time IRL in real life before that, and I had never really I've interacted with her, somewhat being in the community, but like I haven't talked to her on the phone a whole bunch. I haven't like really like but she knows this ethos that like we all share, and I literally was like, I wanted to get the thimble tattooed on my leg, and mama didn't raise no poser, so I ain't getting that. And then bada bing, bada boom, Swilson sends me a thimble. I'm like, what the hell is going on? She's helped other members as well. Dylan Carden, Down to Earth, another friend from Idaho, believe it or not. He was like, I want to get a thimble. Swilson sent him the funds to do it. He ended up paying her back over time. I'm just like, just wild. It's wild.
Amazing. Truly amazing. Yeah. I think we're closing up on an hour. Is there any other like stuff that you guys wanted to touch on as far as bridging Web 2 to Web 3 as far as apparel and what's to come?
I mean, really, just as a quick recap, I just think we're seeing sort of the events where we're getting physicals and drop the comfy hoodies, the Kagamis, all that good stuff. We're seeing this connection between owning an NFT and actually having crafted. Maybe you own the actual comfy hoodie sweater for the IP that you're gonna put on your real comfy hoodie. So we're seeing these huge things take place, and I can't wait for the bigger brands. Not that 10KTF isn't a huge brand, but the, I guess, Web 2 big brands to start doing that as well, which will be Gucci next, I'm sure. Gucci's going to have the physical. Puma probably has something in play for coming up. So, again, seeing how well they've already taken the hand of individuals, brought them into this space, and, let them go on their own after that, I think it's going to be more of that.
I'm very curious to see how brands kind of touch on what Jesse was talking about as far as scarcity. I'm very curious to see how these brands really utilize their IP and actually come out with collections that are not only thoughtful, but, bridge that gap. And, I think that he's right where, I could see the future of baseball jerseys. For just an example, like you buy a baseball jersey that obviously is paired with an NFT and it's a token to that, game, right? Imagine having a jersey that you bought at the game of the World Series and or the Stanley Cup, or like any of these events that are like transcend history, right? Imagine being able to track that on the blockchain, because you could go online and like look at it, a jersey, but it has not that significant value. But pairing that up to a memory, I think that's my biggest takeaway from talking to Jesse is
it's
charged. It's a charged, exactly. That is immense value for brands in whatever Web 2 space, like sports brands, Disneyland, whatever it might be, right? That is crazy.
Dude, okay, my last thing is this, is like, I was at Red Bull way, way back in the day. I was director of media at the Red Bull Music Academy like 20 some odd years ago. And I remember walking in and seeing, we were doing a show, and it was the first time I really experienced guerrilla marketing. And all there was, it was like the first band horse show ever, or something crazy like that. And like the only advertisement in the room was it was just a brick wall, and they had like a Red Bull just spray paint on the wall, and then there was just Red Bull fridges in the corners. And I was just like, this is going to work. Like, this makes perfect sense for Gen X. Like, this is the best way to communicate. And you're sitting there going like, this brand is about to eat the world. You could feel it happening. They were just starting to look into the extreme sports stuff. And
what a
you're
great
sitting there going
feeling.
like, the way they're executing, you could feel it, right?
That's the way I feel right now, man.
That's what I was going to say, is I haven't felt that way where you're just like, this is just going to work. It's not just going to work here. It's going to work there and there and there. This is about to eat the world. 10KTF is about to eat the world. You might not, mass market might not see it, but remember, like they are the genesis point where there's a couple brands. It's like 10KTF, Yuga. There's a few brands right now that are so far in front, and they are creating culture. And so I do think we're going to look back and go, you'll hear people talk. Like, I remember being in a bar the first time I heard somebody order a Red Bull vodka and be like, oh, wait, they're not on the team. Oh, shit, this is this is working. We're messaging. And like, a person over here just ordered this, and I don't think they work here. Like there will be a point where you see all of this stuff. It's not just the story, like the storytelling. Right now, every single community, in my opinion, is chasing 10KTF. They're watching what's happening. They're like, fuck. That's where nobody talked about storytelling NFTs 6 months ago.
Right.
Not at
Who
all.
was talking about storytelling NFTs until you started seeing 10KF just rip
No
the
one.
lid off of it?
Jenkins the valet.
Dude,
That's
fair.
Fair.
Right? But literally think about what they've executed on
For sure.
in the last 6 months specifically, and at the level they're executing. So understand, I'm a big believer that we will look back at this brand and be like, I remember when, because it's so clear that as long as they keep doing what they've been doing, which is putting their community first, innovating, doing the right thing. Like, again, Warm Wallet, A-Bomb, Dilly, whoever brought it up, the fact that they're like, this is a gift to the community. If they keep acting out of what we've seen them act out of for the last year, they're going to eat the planet, and they're going to be setting the culture of the entire metaverse. I think they have a chance to be the Nike of the metaverse. I think they're even ahead of Nike in all these things. And if they can maintain their lead, and by the way, so if you're a member of this community right now, I think you get to see the future before everyone else. I think that what we're going to see, especially in season 2, is just understand whatever you're seeing, go that eventually this will become a standard. So like, I think what we're about to experience, and the reason I just can't wait for season 2 is we're going, imagine whatever you get to experience this in 10 years, that'll be the standard. But it's literally, we're watching history be built right in front of us, dude.
We're on the rocket ship, and we're building it as we're going into space.
That's right. And you couldn't ask for better pilots.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I'm very well. The last thing I want to wrap up too with is just seeing that 10KTF is one of the first communities that you can actually earn ape coin from, and you don't need to own an ape.
Yeah.
Also, it's the first community that if you owned a certain IP, you could actually get that specific piece of IP manufactured on a physical. So they're the first of many. And if they can, like you're saying, if they continue to do this, yeah, it's going to be, we're going to be all right, guys. We're going to be all right. Dilly's got fucking thousands of these things, apparently. Jesus.
Physical displays. They're the first to do that.
I'm
like
underexposed.
Right after Snoop Dogg tweets about it. Like, yeah. All right. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of Speculation Alley. We do this every single Wednesday. Make sure that you check out our channel, subscribe, comment what you thought about our conversation. If you have any input or future suggestions for videos, obviously leave that below as well. Make sure to like the video and then turn the bell on for notifications so that way you can actually see all of our future videos and content as well. But I want to thank you again. Thank you, Jesse. Any final closing thoughts that you want to leave us with? Dude,
honestly, every time I get a chance to either listen to you guys talk or the damn show, whatever, it's just I feel special. It feels special to be here right now and to get to learn not only from all the people in our community, but to also just be a part of 10K, because I do feel like it's a really special moment in time. So honestly, I'm just grateful for the community to have found the project when I did, and even just get to hang out with you guys. So thanks for having me on.
Bro, I learned. I have multiple books that I need to go listen to and check out now just from this. So I hope to have you on more so I can learn more from you, Jesse, because you are a very capable and very intelligent individual. So again, appreciate you taking the time, brother.
No, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. See you guys.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.